The Flyin Lion says,
Boys, hell is real.
2023 Supporter Shield champs.
Just give me a reason to drink some Guinness in the morning.
Yeah, just a fan of the sport, you know.
I appreciate the opportunity.
It's definitely tougher to be an academy player than it is a pro.
Soccer's my favorite sport now.
The jersey swap was
my car of the week, trivia question of the week. Welcome back, everyone, to the Flyin Lion podcast. We are here tonight on a live recording night for International Podcast Day. To everyone that's celebrating, thanks for listening to us. Sam, how we doing?
Yeah, doing good. Obviously, International Podcast Day, so big deal for us being an FC Cincinnati podcast. So appreciate all the listeners and supporters out there. We're gonna continue to make great content for you guys and continue to talk about FC even through the tough times as we saw this weekend.
Yeah, the rain and the hurricane type weather we had is kind of echoing what happened for the first team and for the second team, unfortunately, from this weekend. But we did have that game against LAFC, 2-1 loss, Sam, at home. Very frustrating game overall. We'll kind of recap it, tell you guys in the second part of our episode, our cards, jersey swaps. We'll get into a little bit of news about the Club World Cup and possible hosts for the Queen City. We'll talk a little bit more about the injuries that we've had this year, and then we'll, I guess, preview 2 games that we have this week before we go to an international break. So as we get rolling here, we'll kind of walk through, like I said, the LAFC game. Sam, going into it, did you feel like the rain was going to be an issue with this one?
I thought so, because obviously we've seen the pitch just a little bit off this year, right? As we brought in the natural grass. But if you guys saw our content from the weekend, I was able to chop it up pregame with Alvis Powell down on the field. Great opportunity to catch up with him, as we're a huge supporter of his. But that was actually the first conversation that we had was about the rain. He actually immediately came up to me and was like, "This sucks playing in the rain. Like, nobody wants to play in the rain." But I asked him about the turf, if the turf's going to hold up or not. And he pretty much said, like, I don't know, like, we'll see if it does or not. But I asked him if he also, prefers synthetic or the natural grass. And of course, just like everybody else, he said he prefers the synthetic grass.
Yeah, that was definitely a thing that I was looking at to see. Would there be standing water on the field? How would the LA players kind of react to it as well? With all the stuff that we had, on Friday especially, and then going into Saturday, it rained like 2 days in a row. Shout out to Alvis, for coming over and chatting with you. That was pretty cool. But yeah, definitely was something to look out for, especially early on in the game. But before we get into that, lineup wise, we had a pretty much solid, like, full starting lineup that we might even see in the playoffs. Maybe tweaks here and there, up top, especially. But yeah, I mean, what were your thoughts going in with the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, thoughts going in, obviously looking at the lineup, it's kind of that lineup that you want going into the playoffs. I know the big thing, just out of everybody, like looking at everybody on the lineup, the big thing I think for you and I was seeing Nico up top.
Right.
We have been pushing for Kelsey to continue to get that starting spot. So you had actually talked to me about an interesting theory that you had heard about, though, about Kelsey and kind of what's going on up top there.
Yeah, in a loan situation, I mean, there's been a lot of buzz. I don't know, was it Shakhtar Donetsk that has the loan, for FCC and Kelsey? Is there a minute restriction? Is there any belief that, that's why he's not getting as much? I felt like he's been probably arguably, besides Kubo, the next best consistently. Like, there's a lot of things that Nico's been doing off the ball, hold up play, not scoring though. That's a big thing. Why does he get the start in this game? Was it a matchup type thing that they thought with a rotated LAFC squad? It was kind of interesting. As I mentioned, LAFC was coming off of winning the Open Cup on Wednesday. They had a game that started at like 10:30 their time, played 120 minutes, won the match, flew across the country, rotated squad, and still got a result. They were without, Denny Bouanga, Giroux, Hollingshead, Tillman. Those guys were all subs that we saw in the second half. But at least to start the game, I mean, the first 35 minutes were just slow.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it was extremely slow. It might have been like some of the worst, kind of soccer that we've seen. Obviously, the pitch conditions aren't the best for everybody, but you got to play. And so going into it, you had said, LAFC has this rotated squad. They coming off an Open Cup trophy. So they're coming with maybe tired legs, but also kind of a rejuvenated squad because they just won a trophy, right? So they're coming in with probably high hopes there and just did not get off to a great start from our end, and it really started in the back line.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, especially about them winning a trophy. Look at all the prior finals that they had made.
Oh
I
my
mean, they
gosh, yeah,
actually had made, 3 or 4 finals in the last
without
few
winning one.
years. They hadn't won one. They finally get that push. They finally win one. Like that has to do something for your confidence, even if it
Yeah.
is a rotated squad. So maybe that played into it. But yeah, we were out, 35 minutes in and slow. We had an injury to Awazium. We'll talk about that later. And then what, a minute later, you get a goal from them with a young, like teenage player that they had on the
18 year
field.
old. Yeah.
18-year-old
18-year-old.
guy took Murphy one on
Yeah.
one, slots it away past Roman. And you're like, man, can this get any worse? Especially just after we see that injury as well. But then past that, Sam, I felt like it kind of was like the kick in the butt that we needed to get going.
A little bit, at the end of the first half there, we did kind of settle in. But once again, we're not creating chances inside the box, outside the box. We have 7 crosses throughout the entire game. We'll talk a little bit, more in the recap about, what should be decided there because something's got to change. We've got too many opportunities to where something could happen. We missed headers directly on goal. I know
Hmm.
Nico had that chance like
Right.
30th minute, 40th
Right.
minute.
Do you think his mask played anything into that?
I don't know. You might have to like slow it down, zoom in a
Yeah.
little bit to see if it like clips the edge of his mask
Right.
or
If it
something,
hit
but
off the nose and shoot directly up, was it the rain? Maybe he couldn't see with the mask on.
maybe, maybe.
I don't know. Oh, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. Yeah, but we did have chances. I mean, it wasn't like we just kind of flopped over and that was it. But the middle stretch of the game I felt like was better. Coming out of halftime, still better. We did get a sub. Santos comes in for Nico at half, and then 61st minute, we get a nice long distance goal again by Orishano.
I mean, at this point, like, what are people doing? Letting
Yeah,
him shoot from the outside. This
right.
is off a little, corner play that Acosta likes to do sometimes. He'll either play it to Orishano over to, the other side of the 18-yard box or,
Right.
kind of play it short. This time he plays it short and Orishano gets a good little running
Does.
start into it. And, it takes a little bit of a deflection from, one of the FCC great players, Kai Kamara, and it goes in.
Kai's, yeah,
Yeah.
always wanting to support the
Yeah,
team.
shout out to him. Yeah.
FCC legend. I'm surprised. I mean, in the stadium, it gets called as an own goal,
I know.
but
Yeah,
it goes
directly.
down as a Luca Orishano goal. And then if you kind of go back and look at it, like this all gets overshadowed. I guess the fact that Lucho gets an assist on this play.
Yeah, stats are weird, but we'll take it.
Yeah,
19 on the year now
right.
for Lucho. We'll talk a little bit later in the podcast about that, but great goal from Orishano to be able to rejuvenate the squad. Just great strike on the ball all around.
Not gonna lie, like they scored, and I'm like looking around, like,
Oh, you're always looking for flags
is
and
the
stuff.
flag
Yeah.
up? Like they even checked. They even checked to
Yeah.
see like if it deflected off an FCC guy that was offside. Like I was just waiting for something. Because I think like a couple minutes before that, was there a shout for a PK or something like that? We have
Handball,
handball,
possibly. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that deflected right before the corner and hits off the guy's arm. We don't even get a review on the play.
Yeah, nothing.
So I was still a little bit heated about that, and then they score that long distance one, and it's like, okay,
All right.
well, we
On
get
to
a
the next
goal.
one, yeah.
But yeah, it's 1-1 at that point, and you're actually feeling like, okay, the momentum shifted for a decent crowd we had at home for how bad of weather it was. I
It filled
mean,
in. It filled
it
in.
filled in,
Yeah.
and in that like weather, especially like other cities, they would have just said, oh, we're not going to go to this game, but
I do want to shout out the fact that we had the flags as the giveaway.
yeah,
I think that made it look more
true.
full. And I was telling Caitlin when we were there, literally if the whole stadium was full, how like full it actually would have looked with all the flags and everything,
Right.
everybody having one. But yeah, missing, a couple thousand there at the game, but still a pretty good turnout for a rainy day.
That's what you want to see in the Bailey. I mean,
Yep.
we've been calling for it all year long
More
is
flags.
more flags and the full 3,000 people, waving the flags after the goal. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool scene to see, especially across from the goal where
La 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 with flags. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Every game, can we
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah.
But yeah, 1-1 at that point, like you're feeling good. And then kind of really out of nowhere, would you say, the 73rd minute, Denny Bouanga scores front post goal, takes Ian Murphy on again, down on kind of an impossible angle, in my opinion, that I feel like you just shouldn't get beat from that spot.
No, as a goalkeeper, that's something that you kind of take as your own. Like that near post, if you ever get near post, it's one of the most fundamentally embarrassing things as a goalkeeper. And so from Celentano's standpoint, you just can't get beat like that. And also to your point, like you just said, Murphy, another 1v1 defender, goal conceded on him, just not looking good this year on those 1v1 opportunities. Maybe we can reach out to somebody like Patrick or somebody on the squad to get us that stat.
There's some that come to mind. I mean, the San Jose game was one that comes to distinct, point of
Yeah.
reference. But yeah, I mean, that goal, I'd seen a lot online that, oh, he takes it brilliantly. It's like, well, if the defender does his job and kind of ushers him towards the sideline a little bit more, like there's not even a chance. And like as a striker, you're always taught like just put it on goal. So props to him for that. But like I feel like Roman's like a foot away from the post there, like defend that front side, push the ball out, or punch it or something. It was wet. I'd been calling all night for our guys just to hit it low, make a deflection off a guy's leg or to skip on the turf or
Mhm.
something. Keep it low. And first half, I think Orishano had one he skied over. If he
Second half, Buka had one.
Yeah, Buca had
Yeah.
one too. Like, just keep it low and see what happens. Even though they have a world-class keeper in Hugo Lloris, but
Yeah.
yeah. So 73rd minute, we get the goal for them, 2-1. Don't really have a fighting chance past that. I feel like, I mean, past that point, LA said we're gonna kind of sit back and we put a lot of pressure. It's just been in a low block. How do we, wear these guys down? And I think you had even texted me actually, I did feel like Kelsey held the ball up a lot better in
Yeah.
that situation. We did create some chances, but we went more direct.
Mhm.
Where, in years past or even games prior, we try to work it around and be too perfect or too cute with it. Just find that little half opening, play it into him, one off and shoot it.
Well,
You
when you
know,
when you go into those scenarios to where you have to play more direct or you have to play more of a crossing style and when it's wet, right, you can't control the ball a lot.
sure.
If you get it in the middle and try and do those little, one
Right.
touch, two touch passes, you have to go from the crosses and it's tough to do that when you have a right-footed left back and a left-footed right back on,
True.
on the team with
Yeah.
Luca on the right side and
Right.
Assad, in the second half when he subbed on the
Right.
left. You can't cross it in. So not being able to get service to Kelsey there in the middle is kind of what we missed out on.
Yeah, and if you go back like right before, I believe when Buanga scores,
Mhm.
Santos is in on a breakaway
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
falls to his right foot.
Yeah.
And so if he has a right foot or if that's Nico out there, like it's a goal probably, and we're up 2-1 at that point. So, I mean, those are to me fundamental things of if you're in the MLS, like you need to be able to use both your feet. So I don't want to kind of miss that point. I felt like that was a big moment in the game too. Sam, what were your kind of final impressions in this one? And an unfortunate 2-1 loss.
Yeah, final impressions, just overall for the game. Obviously, we talked about it. Murphy's 1v1 defending, um, a liability first half and second half, as he conceded both goals. And then, I really thought Alvis Powell made the most of his substitutions. He had two attacking chances, which were awesome to see.
That was cool.
Kind of snaking through the defense in a straight line formation, if you will. Don't ask me how that's possible, but he does it. But once again, we have more touches than the opposing team in the box. We had 28 to their 13 in the box, so we have to convert. Not only obviously Orishano's goal was from the outside, but once again converting those chances on the inside. And then LAFC, we really put it on them, like you said. They had 26 clearances in this game, so really just trying to put the pressure on the other team. Doing a great job of that. We just have to find a number nine or put our number nines in an opportunity to score.
The right ones
Yeah,
together. I mean, that for me is the big thing is like you come out the first 35 minutes of the game, you're playing a team that had just played a couple days ago, traveled all across the country, and you come out flat as can be.
yeah,
Like, is that a coaching thing? Is that getting the players to be hyped up? Like, you haven't played in a minute. Like, you're at home in front of your crowd. You have to come out and say, we're taking hold of this game before they can even get, some of their better players in the second half.
yeah.
That was the opportunity. And like to your point with the nines, if we did have some of those guys in certain positions, like, does it look different in that point? I'm not sure. My other kind of point I want to go with too was free kicks. I mean, we saw how many in this game. LA had a ton of fouls against us, but again, just lacking kind of that final thing. I know we scored from a obvious free kick from outside the box last game, but can we get Orishano to take like more of our corners, more of our long distance ones? Like there was one where I think he backheeled it to Lucho, just hit against the wall when we're right outside the box. Like just let him do what he did the last week and shoot on goal, or just hit it low, and try to make the save for the keeper. So that would be my honorable shout. And then, we've said it before, but I think might need to have the Ian Murphy conversation. At this point, it's been a lot of one-on-one scenarios, especially if he's not going to have the cover of Miazga or Robinson, possibly Cheeto. Like, how does that look?
Well,
Like,
we've got another left-footed center back.
give Hadebe a chance. Like, it sounds like his fitness was the big issue and why he hasn't been able. He hadn't really played consistently since like what, April or
Yeah.
something. So maybe that's just the problem. But like, I think somebody else needs a shot at that spot, that left-footed center back spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been calling it for it for a while. He didn't even get a sub appearance in this game. Obviously not mad about it, but Powell is the first sub off the
Yeah,
bench for,
yeah.
the center back. Does a
Says a
great job.
lot.
Yeah, says a
Says a
lot.
lot about where the center backs are, though. And you're putting a right back naturally in a center back position in front of Kip Keller, in front of Hadebe. I mean,
Yeah.
in front of
Yeah,
Agato.
Kip hasn't seen anything in a
Kip hasn't
long
done it.
time.
Yeah. I mean, and Halsey's not even on the subs
Yeah.
anymore because, I mean, who else are you going to drop? That's my point from last week. So it is very interesting, an overall impression. So I guess with this game and the contributions we had, there were 3 double-digit goal scorers now for FC Cincinnati in MLS Play 2024. Lucha's got 12 goals. Yakubo's got 10. Orishano's now got 10 as well, if you want to count that one that he had. Just the second time in the club's history that we've had 3 players reach 10 plus goals. 2022, Sam, was the other year. We had Vasquez, Brenner, and Lucho. So it doesn't feel like the offense was that way this year. But between the 3 guys, they've really carried our team, honestly.
Yeah, no kidding. Carry is the right word there. Those 3 guys have done a lot of the bulk of the scoring.
Right.
So being able to get the true number nines, in and helping is gonna go real far for us in the playoffs. But yeah, Lucho was looking real good for a decent part of the game, but he's just not there right now.
Physically, yeah, I don't think he is. I mean, it's crazy. Like, we're having this like conversation, but like if he's not 100% healthy, like I said, 80% of Lucho is better than somebody else's 100. But there was some plays where the poor guy was limping. I mean, he was getting fouled all over the place. And we really needed him in this moment, especially. And he does get an assist, technically in this, but down the stretch, I mean, he's going to be vital for this team. So it was interesting. I mean, we're 5-0-1, this year against the Western Conference. Can't be mad about that. It feels like it's like a Reds stat.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like the Reds like sometimes do better against like the West?
Yeah, it's those weird stats like that
Yeah.
where they're better against teams that are above 500
Right,
below or
right.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I mean the home record, Sam. I mean, we were talking about it on the way out. 7-6-3. Compare it to last year, what, 12, 13 wins at home or something crazy. We got to be better. I mean, is TQL even a fortress anymore? I know it is, like the fans bring it, but like the players have to understand like the advantage that they have.
Yeah, it's been tough to watch this year at home. Obviously wish that they come out and come and fight. It's just so happened that on the road they've been a lot better this year, especially again, against the West, but um, couldn't, beat the team that just traveled across the country, had late celebrations, etc. So we move on to, 2 games this week and, even more club history as, Lucho is 3 assists away from 100 career MLS assists. And then he's also 7 assists away from actually matching the MLS record of 26 in a single season. So can he do it? I don't know.
With what, 4 games left, I think?
Three?
3 games,
3 games
regular
left?
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to have an unbelievable run, which we've seen him do.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just kind of against the trend of where we're seeing right now. But as we move on, Sam, give me your trivia question of the week.
Yeah, so trivia question of the week kind of rides on this. Orishano has the potential to tie the FCC record of 4 matches in a row with a goal, joining Lucho and Brandon Vasquez. Lucho has already done that this year. Name the 4 teams that he scored against earlier this year.
In a row,
In a
consecutively.
row, yeah, consecutively.
Columbus Crew. I'm going to go with Atlanta United. Orlando. And Philadelphia.
All right, he's got the 4, and we'll see after this break.
Hey, FC Cincinnati fans. We are pumped to share our new sponsor, Peak Cocktails.
I'm sipping on the passion fruit margarita, which is so spicy and it makes me feel like I'm on the beach.
Ooh, that sounds great. I'm drinking the Blood Orange Spritz, which has a great subtle ginger flavor coming from its scientifically formulated recipe to promote exercise recovery, enhance relaxation, and support a better night's sleep.
Ryan, that's exactly why I love them. Their cocktails are designed to fit seamlessly into your health-conscious lifestyle, giving you the enjoyment of a delicious adult drink without the downsides of alcohol.
Guys, next time you are looking for that post-workout drink or an afternoon pick-me-up, grab a Peak Cocktail. Visit them at www.peakcocktails.com and use the code FLYINLION at checkout to get 20% off your first order. Zach, enjoy your drink. Welcome back, everyone, to the Flyin Lion podcast here, chatting tonight about, unfortunately, a loss for our FC Cincinnati, but we turned a new page. We got 2 games this week to kind of correct our wrongs here. Before we get into that in the previews, Sam, I want to hear your card of the week.
Yeah, so card of the week is going to go to the San Jose Earthquakes. I mean, they just got their 5th time in franchise history getting the goal or the wooden spoon. So this is actually the most in MLS history.
Wow.
5th golden spoon or 5th wooden spoon. They haven't received one since 2018. Toronto won it last year. Just unfortunate to see that for their franchise. But I also looked up the rankings of the wooden spoons. So it goes San Jose, DC, Chicago Fire, and FC Cincinnati are tied for 3rd all time in wooden spoon history.
Like, at one point, I'm thinking, like, okay, I feel bad for them, but also at the same time, like, they're worse than us, so
Yes.
that's kind of a good thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you looked at actually their goals they've conceded this year, they are about to set the record, which
They're like 3
we
away.
hold.
They're like 3 away.
3 goals
something like
away
that, yeah.
from setting the record for most goals given up in a season. So kind of in a way, like, I want them to set that just so we don't have that in the record books.
Yeah, just so, yeah. Well, I mean,
You know?
we'll always have 3 wooden spoons in a row.
Right.
Because that'll be the worst stat
Sure.
in the record
Sure.
books. However,
Right.
goals allowed, just like take every other stat.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just take that out. But the 3 in a row, I mean, it doesn't trump the fact that they've had 5 now.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And I mean, how many different coaches have they had now and all these rotated players and whatnot? But yeah, we thought we were bad. San Jose is pretty bad. But it looks like they're looking at a couple of options for their head coach. I was hearing Bruce Arena was one option. Greg Berhalter actually was one that they had interviewed too. So that tells me ownership is maybe saying, like, we're
going to turn something
going to
over
turn.
here.
Yeah, they're going to spend money. I mean, that was the problem. And they had gotten a number 10 player, I think, for like $6 million this year. Still weren't able to obviously do much with it.
Translate that.
But yeah, I like the card. I'm gonna go with my card this week on injuries again. I said it a couple weeks ago, but man, like what a bummer. We had, one guy, Santos, get completely knocked out of the game. Like I think he was literally like passed out on the field, just putting
I
his all in.
couldn't tell if he had,
That's true.
with the
With the
green
green
hair.
hair,
Yeah,
yeah.
couldn't tell if it
Yeah.
was him or the grass or, what was going on.
Yeah, true. But then past that, we get a Woznian that's out, and we still don't know, how long he's going to be out for. So just like an unfortunate season in general. Like I really feel like we're the Cincinnati Reds at this point. Um, I mean, we can kind of roll into the injury bug stats if we want to do it.
Yeah.
But we had Matt Miazga, out for the season now. Nick Hagelin, Alacan, Isaiah Foster. Cheeto hopefully is going to be okay. It sounds like he had to go for more testing today. That to me means an MRI. And if that's the case, if they're looking into that, like they're getting another specialist opinion,
Yeah.
he's going to be out for weeks. Like hopefully it's not months, but weeks probably. Is it a knee injury? Is it a calf
I know
thing?
you had said possibly like ankle, like it definitely leg.
Yeah, leg related. I mean, he
Yeah.
was limping on that side. But when a guy goes down and on his way falling down to the ground, he's like holding up the like sub thing. That's not great. And it would be easy to blame it on the field and the conditions in this one, but like it had nothing really to do with that. I think he just slipped out and his leg got caught. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Santos, like I said, concussion protocol. Hopefully he'll be back. I did have a stat, Sam. I mean, we talk about this team and like what could have been if we had all of these guys for the rest of the season. Matt Miazga, when he was playing, FC Cincinnati had an 11-2-3 record with him in the lineup, 6-6-2 without him. When he was on the field, we had 2.19 points per game, which was sixth best in the MLS. And we went on that long run. I think we kind of capped like one or two wins after that. But I mean, it's invaluable, his experience, his leadership, his command of the back line. And again, we've always said it, like Lucho's the captain, but Miazga's the leader of the team and the big voice and the intimidating presence. Like when teams come into play FC Cincinnati at TQL, they know like they have Obi in the midfield that's just gonna just go after them and track them down. And then you have Miazga that's just gonna play mind games and be physical and win aerial duels. So I'm really missing Matt right now.
Yeah, I know. I went back and, to prep for the previews today, I was going to go back and look at the Orlando City game, NYCFC game that were earlier this year that Matt Miazga played in both games. And
Yeah,
it was
a win.
it was both two wins.
Right.
So it was unfortunate to see like, oh man, he looks great out there, right?
Right.
We're definitely missing him. And when you talk about Hagelin, the big thing that I saw from him, he posted a video on Instagram throwing away his boot and his crutches. So he is walking and maybe running without crutches or boots. I don't know about throwing them away. He does have, some injury history, so I don't know if I do
It's a bad
that.
luck thing, I feel
Yeah.
like. Maybe he touched the crutches like when he wasn't injured. That's also another
Superstitious.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
superstitious
there's something
thing.
there. Yeah.
But speaking on like throwing the like boot away and everything, I think Miazga's back and he's jogging.
Oh, yeah,
At least from what I was
without
seeing
the
as well.
cryo chamber type
Yeah, like the
thing.
zero gravity.
Zero gravity.
Yeah, zero gravity treadmill is something that they'll do before they start to put weight on it, but it sounds like he's doing more. So a healthy Miazga, healthy Hagelin, especially for next year, is going to be massive. Hopefully, we're really, really hoping that Cheeto's okay because we do need him for a playoff run.
Our back line can't take this.
It's historic at this point how many, center backs we've lost. Give Kubo the opportunity at center back.
Just do it.
Just one
Just do
time.
it, yeah.
Just one time. We want to see it. But we kind of went to the injury part of things. I want to do your jersey swap though.
Yeah, so jersey swap of the week is going to be my guy Alvis Powell, not just because I dapped him up on the sidelines, but he had a really good game. He subbed in for Cheeto after he got injured, and he actually came away with the second most touches inside the opposing team's box behind Lucho. He also led the team with 3 interceptions. So he was really putting his heart out there, out in the rain, and he did really well.
Yeah, he's a wild card like on the dribble. Like you had mentioned earlier, his like straight line run, but like it's more of like a right to left foot to right foot to I'm still running straight,
No,
but
yeah.
I don't know how I'm getting around people. I just don't expect, or I should say, I don't think the other team expects him to be able to like go through that area.
And I want to say he had like the third highest expected goals for
Yeah,
FC Cincinnati, like behind Orishano and Luca or
Lucho,
Lucho,
yeah,
like because of that shot that he had on goal. It was
right.
actually a really good shot on
Yeah.
goal, near post. It was a really good
Larice had
save
to
by
make it.
Larice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's Roman, like front post. Sorry, too soon.
Too
Too
soon, too
soon.
soon.
But yeah, I mean, great point. I love the shout for Alvis. If you kind of look, especially in the second half, like he kept Bouanga in check.
He
Like
did.
I mean, the goal
Yeah.
comes from a Murphy one-on-one with him, but like when Bouanga had a through ball, there's several times that the fastest player in the MLS tracks him down.
Yeah.
And he gets there and he makes the right decision. So yeah, shout out to Alvis. He had a really good game. Hopefully this is like a thing to come because I mean, it sounds like we're gonna need him, and we just need a serviceable center back just to see out the rest of the
I would
season.
say
But
out of these two games, you see an Alves Pal start.
probably, yeah. And all the rumors have it that I think Hadebe is gonna at least get 45 coming up, at least as a starter. So what does that do with Alvis? Yeah, there's gonna be a rotation, is what it comes down to. But yeah, with my jersey swap, I almost forgot who I was going to say. It's Luca Orishano again, shocker. But he's just had an incredible several games in a row. And really, like I mentioned earlier, like coaches tell you just to shoot it, put it on goal. First half, skies it over. Second half, learns, just puts it on target. Somebody deflects it in.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can you ask?
Yeah, easy enough. I got a stat for you
Okay.
on Orishano. So he's got 79 shots this year.
Hmm.
2 out of those 79 shots have been right-footed.
Two.
So that is 3%. 3% of his shots in MLS play have been right-footed.
We're really hammering home the weak foot thing. Like somebody go and look at his FIFA like weak foot skills. Probably like one
I mean, I
star.
don't want to call him out because he's a great
He's
player.
a great player, yeah.
But you watch
Yeah.
him play all the time, like
Yeah.
he's kind of like
Imagine if he had a right foot.
he's kind of like Anthony in a sense. You watch Anthony
True,
with Man
true,
United
with
a
Man
little bit.
United.
Well, like how
Yeah.
he did like the spinny thing with the left foot. Like
Right.
that's how I see Orishano doing all those cutbacks with the outside of his left foot.
He's honestly like if you guys watch the games, everyone who's listening does. But I mean, he's the most dangerous player on the field.
And you like it's ridiculous. It's
Lately.
crazy. Yeah.
And like usually that's Lucho, and Lucho obviously is trying to create in this game and has several moments where he lost the ball, but Orishano's dangerous with it. I mean, he is turning defenders, shifty, making guys
I
miss.
would say that's his best like
Oh
skill.
my gosh.
The way that he can accelerate.
Right.
Right? I think
Right.
that is the biggest thing that sets him
True.
apart from other players.
That's
is
a good point.
The shifty to acceleration.
Right.
Because he does that little like slight like either
Feint. It's
well,
a body feint.
It's either a feint or it's a step over, right?
Yeah.
And it's a burst into acceleration either down the
Yeah.
side or through the middle.
It's a quick one move. You don't have to do two or three. It's one quick move, one move on the ball, and you're gone. It's ball control, what it comes down to as well. But how do we get that to translate
To the
into
right foot.
Okay, I was gonna say into more goals and assists. But I mean, I can't argue against the fact that he's had, 4 games in a row, possibly 3 now in a row, but
3 in a row,
4, possibly 4.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the production has been there.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that was my big takeaway with him. He's kind of pushing honestly for most valuable player even on the team with Kubo and Lucho, like those 3.
Yeah.
I said it last week, like Kubo's got to be most valuable because of what he brings to the team. Or Shano, I mean, playing center attacking mid, left wing back, right wing back.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of different things as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when are we going to sign him? Like really, that's what it comes down to is like we need to just sign this guy right now. Like do it right this second.
Yeah, I think I know we've talked about, I think what was that last podcast we talked about DP spot. I think so.
Yeah,
I think he wants to stay. Obviously, nobody's asked him that in a while because he kind of cemented
right.
he wants to stay and he wants to be here. And why wouldn't you want to be here? Because we've got some big news coming to the Queen City.
Yeah, FIFA Club World Cup 2025 coming to TQL Stadium. We're going to be hosting some
This is huge.
massive
This is
games,
huge.
Sam. Yeah, one of 3 soccer-specific stadiums that were picked. Columbus was not chosen.
Just
They might have gotten the MLS All-Star game, but did they get a Club World Cup game? No, they didn't. Unbelievable just to have this. So for those who aren't familiar, teams from across the world basically had to qualify, club teams had to qualify for this tournament. And it's hosted in America next year. So pretty special. We got expanded, I think, team slate for this. So 32 teams will be in this. The likes of Bayern Munich, Man City, Chelsea, off the top of my head, Inter, in Italy, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Yeah. I mean, massive teams have the potential to come to Cincinnati. Now, Laurel Pfahler did come out and say that it sounds like the host cities do have to do a little bit of bidding for the bigger teams to come, but one can hope that a big team is going to be coming to TQL to play a meaningful match. Like we see friendlies in these stadiums, preseason tournaments and such, you get a lot of young players, but a meaningful Club World Cup game, like I think that would be so awesome to see, the likes of, Dortmund to play Chelsea or something like that. Yeah. Or even to get Christian Pulisic to play AC Milan.
That would be awesome. I mean, he seems to do pretty well at TQL, so I'm sure he's going to be vying for that. Yeah.
So, and the final is going to be at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. They're going to get the FIFA World Cup game and the Club World Cup game. So this is kind of like a tune-up for them. But yeah, TQL, man, what an honor it is, to get this. We didn't get a World Cup game for the national teams. So, I mean, I feel like this is a big deal.
Yeah. Did we say when it kicked off?
Oh, no, yeah, go ahead.
So June 15th, 2025, lasts for 29 days. So it's similar to obviously the World Cup style. But then it's going to end July 13th with that game at MetLife Stadium. But I thought it was interesting going through all the stats and stuff. You mentioned how ever since TQL Stadium opened up, we've really been wanting to host as many things as possible, right? Including a Kenny Chesney concert that we're still a little bit bitter about.
But don't blame it on Kenny. I mean, that was the reason why we had to get new turf.
New turf.
And we'll see how that holds up
next
year.
Concert.
Yeah, concert.
Yeah. But they've hosted 7 international matches total, both men's and women's. So we have shown that we can host big time events.
Right.
And hosting the Club World Cup. Like you had said, can you imagine if a team like Dortmund that has the big yellow wall normally at their stadiums, they can experience that Bailey at TQL Stadium? I think that would be really cool to see.
I mean, and there's so many fans in the city that are just general European soccer fans.
The pitch is going to be...
And shout out to Kenta, too, for just kind of pointing out some of the Japanese teams. I mean, you could get the likes of teams from all over the world.
Yeah.
Argentinian teams and teams from Africa, it'll be pretty special to have that. My question would be, I mean, this starts in June, goes for 30 days. How are we going to work this into the MLS schedule?
Well, yeah. Where are we going to play?
Where are we going to play?
Yeah.
When are we going to fit this in? How many matches are we going to see? Is it just going to be you get one game? I don't know.
There's a lot of unanswered questions, but we're excited, though.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
That's true. True. I think it was one of 12 stadiums.
Yep.
So, I mean, 32 teams, just doing the math. I mean, we're going to get probably at least 3 to 4 games, I would imagine.
Yeah. Kind of like a nice little pool of teams.
Right. So, I'm really not sure what that does to the schedule. We might have to be going on the road for 3 or 4 games in a row.
You best believe that we're going to be at one of those games, though. We're going to be on site.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be there. Hopefully, pitch side or something to do something special. Awesome. It'd be really cool to do a collab with a Dortmund podcast.
Yeah, with Flyin Lion may go international, right?
It'd be pretty special. But we do have more MLS matches this week. We have 2 games, a time to redeem our loss from this past weekend. So Wednesday we travel up to go to a baseball stadium.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Are you sure it's at the baseball stadium? Because did you see?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I had originally thought that because obviously NYCFC, you think of crappy, conditions playing at a baseball stadium, but I did see Tommy G's tweet where he was talking about playing at Red Bulls. I'm not sure what the situation is
So
there,
if the
but
Yankees made the playoffs was going to be, I'm pretty sure if they
oh,
were
they
going to
had to
be able to
move.
host.
Okay,
Yeah. So
gotcha.
if
Okay,
the Yankees host and they'll be at home, then it
they
would
have to
move us
play.
to Red Bulls.
Okay,
It's so confusing. I mean,
yeah,
like, why in a New York market does a team not have their own soccer specific stadium? Like, I know they're
it's
going to,
coming. Yeah, it's
it's
coming. Yeah,
coming.
it's coming.
I'm still gonna gripe about it while we can. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna go up to New York and play somewhere up there. But NYCFC has been on a heater lately, Sam. They won their rivalry against the Red Bulls 5-1 this past
Yeah, last
weekend.
game was pretty good.
Pretty insane. Their one guy, Alonso Martinez, had 2 goals. Earlier in the year, we did beat them 1-0 at home. That was like very early on in the season. They're fifth in the MLS. I'm pretty sure they just qualified for the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. But I really think we need a strong showing from a team that's like, again, on a run.
Yeah, I think if we can solidify kind of getting back into the rhythm of things, I think that'll help against Orlando for the last home game of the season, last regular season game of the season, and be able to walk into the playoffs a little bit better, hopefully a lot more healthy after playing
True.
these last couple games before the end of the season.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think playing either at Yankee Stadium or in New York Red Bulls, you have to kind of just adjust it.
Right.
Either playing surface,
Right.
you just got to adjust to it. But Lucho has the opportunity, like we had talked about, to get 20 assists on the season. And you had kind of put in the agenda here, like, is this the first time it's happened? I think it will be, considering Lucho had 19 assists in 2022. And then just for fun, looked up the USL days with Ledesma in 2018. He actually had 16, that magical season that we had talked about where he had double digit
Yeah.
goals and assists.
I mean, it's impressive. It's very front loaded. Imagine if he continued, what he was doing first 4 months of the
Oh my gosh,
season
yeah,
all the way through. I mean,
a healthy foot.
you,
Yeah.
right, feet,
Feet.
both
Yes, both
toes.
toes. Yeah.
But if you look at the record being 26 in
Yeah.
a season, and he's possibly going to get 20 soon. Like, I don't know if he's going to get to the record, but 20 assists in a season
It's pretty
is
remarkable.
insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable. So, hopefully that happens in this game. We'll really need him, I think, in this. I just don't know what the rotation is going to look like. I really am interested to
Well, we've
see.
been off. We've been off,
That's
right?
true.
Pat
That's
has been
true.
throwing us curveballs. We thought, we'd go rotated squad during the midweek, be
Yeah.
able to showcase, our team on a Saturday. Maybe he will do that this time, considering it's our last home game on
Right.
Saturday.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure. I always think that the opportunity to win at home should trump anything, and especially coming off of a game that's more recent. So
Yeah.
the rotation Wednesday seems obviously like the common thing, but we've been wrong. Like Sam said, like it's just been so different this year than in the 2 years past. So my prediction, like I think it's going to be a tie, maybe even honestly a loss. The way that things are looking, I hate to say that, but like there's not going to get. I don't think they're going to get a good result Wednesday. I'm a little bit more optimistic about playing at home on Saturday. But what are your thoughts?
I think we win 2-0. I think that
Whoa.
because of the history that we have at Yankee Stadium,
Okay.
we relatively the past 1 to 2 years have played really well at Yankee Stadium. Lucho always scores at Yankee Stadium
Hmm.
whenever we play NYCFC. And I know he had a bad second half, but that first half from Salentano was phenomenal. And so if we can just get that over the course of 90 minutes, I think we should be good. So I know it's a little bit of a stretch right now as far as looking at our fitness and our form, but 2-0, I'm going for that.
We need to just get sustained runs of games like to win, and hopefully a positive result like on the road will get the guys kind of
Yeah.
going again. Because again, Saturday we play Orlando, and Orlando has just been a tough team for us in the past several years. We did beat them early on in the year at home, at their home. They're fourth in the MLS. They've come on really in the last month or two.
Yeah.
Um,
Like they usually do. Like
yeah, like late
late in the
on.
season, they
Late
always
on,
come
they
on.
always come on well. And they've kind of found their footing. But yeah, I think this has got to be, I put it in our agenda, a must-win game. Like give the fans the last taste in their mouth at home, like a win.
Yes.
We need
Yeah.
a win. Like going into the playoffs, like it's kind of sad. Like all the national media is writing this team off and saying the trends are worrying and it doesn't look good. Like Pat, go put that on, the bulletin board and say, look at what everyone's saying about you. Like, what are you going to do about this?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying like they're not this isn't a cup winning team.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very impressive on what we've been able to do, which
Sure.
is true.
Sure.
But I'd like to think we still have an opportunity with Lucho
Right.
on the field, with the pieces that we have. We still have an opportunity to win the cup. Obviously, you're not counting anybody out. So
Yeah.
especially in the playoffs, MLS playoffs, it could be, hit or miss on who gets hot and win. So if we can get 2 wins or at least a win and a draw out of these 2 games, I think going into the playoffs, you got to have some level of confidence. And if that wins at home, that's great.
Right.
If not, then at least a tie.
Right. And we need, honestly, too, like what would help to build kind of confidence, obviously, like these results, but to lock in your position in the East. Like we just got jumped by Columbus in the standings, but if we could get like, second, third place, obviously we're sitting in third right now. Second would be ideal. We need that home field advantage, for the playoffs, in multiple rounds. That's what I would say. That'd be great. But yeah, the standings, not only that, but to actually go for the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Yeah.
So those spots are still open as well. And I think top four in MLS. So we really need to kind of kick it into gear. Some of those guys have already qualified based on other tournaments they've won.
Leagues Cup,
so it might fall to us that way. But I mean, what an international.
I'd like to earn it.
Yeah, absolutely. What an international competition to be a part of again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do it consistently. I know, like, earlier in the year, it kind of threw off a little mojo.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to test yourself early in the season against the likes of Monterrey and all of the other different Mexican teams, I mean, is a huge opportunity. So, can we solidify playoff? Can we get a CONCACAF Champions Cup spot, like, by the end of this week? I don't know. I need to go and look at those scenarios. But that would be huge. I'm really hoping for a win in this game. We need some guys to step up in a big way. We talked about the center backs already. I don't think it needs to be talked about more. Hopefully Cheeto is going to be all right long term.
Yeah, more news to come out this week for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me your trivia question and answer.
Yeah, so going back, trivia of the week, Orishano, he's 1 away from tying FCC record for, goals in a row, consecutive goals, joining Lucho and Brandon Vasquez. So Lucha already did it this year, and I asked Ryan, name the 4 teams that he scored on consecutively. Ryan had said Atlanta, you said Columbus, Orlando, and Philly. You were 1 off. You were 1 off.
Really?
The only one that you got wrong was Philly, so it was actually Colorado instead of Philly.
All right.
So you got 3 out of the 4, which is 75%. It's better than Orishano's 3% on his right foot. So I'd say it's a better percentage,
That's true. That's true. What a run he had earlier on in the season, though, with just goal contributions in general.
My gosh. Yeah.
Do you think that Luca Orishano could go for 5 games in a row?
I think he gets 4. I think he gets 4. I think he gets 4. I don't know about 5.
I feel like if we do play in Yankee Stadium, we saw Barrial score a free kick goal.
He did.
Do we see an Orishano? I mean, I really think free kicks and corners are huge.
So Orishano, we did, just to go back to the game this week, we did see Orishano try the Barrial.
That's true.
Did you?
Yeah, off the corner.
That was a terrible.
In the rain.
That was a terrible.
In the rain.
That was really bad.
It was in the rain.
But I'm hoping that he can get a goal either against Orlando or against NYCFC, and we'll see if he can make it 4 in a row.
Yeah. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Hopefully it'll be more positive results coming up. Thanks again for listening. Like, comment, subscribe.